my math manipulative video for Dr. Robin Magruder, ED 341. And so we were required to make a math manipulative along with a lesson plan of how we would use that manipulative. And so basically we've been talking about how important manipulatives are, especially to implement those in the course of mathematics. A lot of students do not like math. It's hard for them to understand. They can't grasp it. And so something that can make that easier is using something hands-on to visually and physically represent what they are doing. So my manipulative was basically just a beaded bracelet. It was extremely simple. It was very cheap to make. I went to Walmart and got a package of pipe cleaners. I think it had like 30 in it. It was like $1.50, and then 500 beads, which was like $1.20 something. So basically you can make probably a classroom full of manipulatives for less than $3. A way that you can differentiate this would be to implement student choice. So if you wanted students to make them themselves, you could have different colored pipe cleaners, you could have different colored beads, and then that would have student choice in that, so students could pick what color they wanted for the beads or pipe cleaners. This manipulative would be used in a kindergarten classroom, and so the learning target that I had put with this lesson was that students will be able to fluently add and subtract within 5 with 80% accuracy. I said 80% accuracy because I don't know how well students or how familiar students are with adding and subtracting within 5. If you do it at the beginning of the year, they may have not been exposed to those numbers yet, or adding and subtracting within 5. But if you do it later on in the year, they may be more familiar with things like that. So the standard that went along with this was the operations and algebraic thinking for kindergarten, which was to fluently add and subtract within 5. So to start off the lesson, I have a pre-assessment. And so the pre-assessment has 8 questions. And so it's just a couple of activity sheets. And so the activity sheets, they use visuals instead of numbers. So this tests students over adding and subtracting and not number recognition, which is important to understand when you're assessing students. You don't want to be assessing them over their ability to comprehend vocabulary terms or complex spelling words. You want to know if they can do what you're asking them to do, the main point, which in this lesson is to add and subtract. So just looking at the pre-assessment, they would just look, so obviously there's one leaf here, there's one leaf here. If you add those two together, how many are you going to get? So this will just kind of give me a starting point to understand where the student's baseline knowledge is, even if they can add or subtract within 5, because they may not be able to do that. And so while there was an addition one, there's also a subtraction one. The subtraction one, in addition to having visuals, they also have just numbers as well. So that can kind of help them associate. Obviously there are 2 pumpkins, and then they can recognize the number 2. So that's also helping them realize that. So to begin the lesson for this manipulative, I planned on using the song 5 Little Monkeys Jumping on the Bed. This is a nursery rhyme or a nursery song that a lot of children are familiar with, or books that they've read. They're familiar with this story. And so something that they're not so familiar with is that you can add and subtract within this. So basically I found a short little video. It's about 2.5 minutes on YouTube. And so I will gather students at the carpet, and so everybody will have a manipulative bracelet that they'll just kind of hold on to. And so students can sing the song, they can follow along, and so each time a monkey falls off the bed, they will drop a bead to the bottom of their bracelet. So whenever that happens, I'm going to intentionally stop the video and ask students, so what just happened? You had 5 beads on your bracelet, 1 fell to the bottom. So 5 minus 1 equals, and then students will most likely, they'll have to count how many beads are at the top. So they'll see that there's 4 beads left. So 5 minus 1 equals 4. You can flip that around and furthermore in saying that 4 plus 1 equals 5. So you just want to make sure that you're pointing out to students there's a total of 5 beads on your bracelet. That's not changing. So whenever you add things total, the beads that are at the top and the bottom, you're always going to get 5. And so you would do that for each time a monkey falls off the bed. So when another one falls off, they move another bead to the bottom. So 5, you minus 2, so you have 3. So then 3 plus 2 equals 5. So like I said, you would just do that each time. Students will most likely really, really like this activity or engaging introductory. And so if you wanted to even play the video twice, I would recommend it just so that gives students more practice in doing something that they enjoy, and then seeing the different ways that they can make 5 through adding and subtracting. So after students have completed that, they'll go back to their table groups. And so I have about a packet that contains about 16 problems that students will complete. It looks a lot like the pre-assessment that I used, but they have different problems. And so basically students will use their manipulative to solve these problems. So what I like about this is that it has visuals like it did on the pre-assessment, but it also has the numbers. And so this will allow students to, not only they can count them, but then they also can practice on recognizing what the number looks like, because in kindergarten that's something that they're going to struggle with, that they're going to be learning this year. So that will help them. So there's an addition one, and then there's also plenty of subtraction ones that say, you know, you have 2, you take away 2, how many are left? And so they can use their manipulative for that as well. There's 4, you take away 3, how many are left? So basically the way students would do that, or, you know, you have 4 at the top, and then you take 3 away, and then obviously you have 1 left at the top. So once students have completed that, I will have the stronger learners help people around them, because there's going to be some that just are struggling, I'm sure. Let me think. To accommodate different needs, like I said, I'm going to have them work in their groups. So the people that are struggling more with comprehending this, they're going to be able to work with people around them. And like I said, people who are understanding it, it's going to help them comprehend it even more if they can help people at their tables. So, like I said, another differentiation that I use with the pre-assessment and the packet, there's visuals. So you're not trying to test students over their ability to recognize words or numbers yet. And I'm thinking that is it. If I actually taught this lesson in the classroom, I would basically just want to be observed over classroom management, being able to handle distractions and different like behavioral issues, and then also just having fluency throughout the lesson. So like making sure that there's no long pauses when I'm teaching, and making sure that the activities blend and flow together smoothly. So I hope that you all can use this in your classroom and that it works well for you and your students.